Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm SocietySucks and today I'm checking out The Placebo Effect Has an Evil Twin by CGP Grey. For those of you who don't know, the placebo effect is when you take a medication, but it's actually just, it's not real medication, it's just like a sugar pill or something, I don't know. But you think it's a real medication and then you experience real positive effects just due to the belief that it's real medicine even though it isn't. So that's the placebo effect. But apparently it has an evil twin, so let's see what it is.
Please, put on your headphones. I promise there won't be any loud sounds.
I already have.
But this video is going to hurt. There's a study about hypersounds and how they cause headaches. These sounds are too high-pitched to hear, like the one added to this video playing right now, but cause headaches they still do. The hypersound in your headphones is pressing on your inner ear, stressing the nerves leading to your brain, where, if the headache hasn't started already, it soon will, as the exposure causes headaches after only 10 seconds. Oh my. Can you feel it?
I don't
that
feel
pressure
anything.
in your ears spreading to your now throbbing brain? Because you shouldn't. This study is made up, and there's no hypersound in the audio, but some of you will still have begun to feel a headache. Why? The nocebo.
Okay, so I understand. It's where you think something's wrong with you, so you start feeling it even though nothing's actually happening. I've had that a lot with anxiety, where I believed that there was something wrong with my heart or somewhere in my stomach, and then I started actually feeling something even though nothing was happening. And also I've had this just plenty of times. I mean, this is normal. I'm pretty sure everybody has experienced this at least once, where you read something on the internet, like for example, let's say you have some stomach pains. You look it up on the internet what it could be, and obviously Google will give you all crazy answers like, oh, you got cancer, you got this, you got that. And then you start thinking like, oh shit, what if I do have this? I guess that's kind of similar to this.
A nocebo is a harmless thing, like a video with non-existent hypersounds that causes harm, like a headache, because you believe it's harmful. That sounds like voodoo, but there's real science behind the nocebo effect, which is more than an irritating parlor trick. It causes real problems, like in medicine. When testing a new drug, doctors get a group of sick people, give half of them the new drug, and give the other half a fake pill that does nothing, but which they're told is real. This is how science finds the stuff that works amongst the junk that doesn't. But new drugs have side effects, and sometimes patients drop out of the experiment because of them. No surprise there. But some people on the fake also drop out from the side effects.
Because
side effects they've gotten
think
from
they
a drug
have
they
them.
aren't taking, but because they think they're on the real thing, they've also thought themselves into the side effects. Now, maybe this is just a case of misattribution. People get headaches, and if they've joined a drug trial
that could also be true.
Headaches in the side effects, it's natural to blame the new drug, and that certainly happens to some extent.
When I started taking my anxiety medication, the side effects were things like headaches, diarrhea, that kind, you know, just there was a bunch of side effects listed. I did have some headaches, mild ones, but that was pretty much it. So I was like, I guess that's from the pills, but it could have just been a random headache. It might have not been from the pills, but since I was starting to take the meds, and that was one of the side effects, I just connected the two, and I believed it was because of the pills. But it could not have been. It could have been just random.
But the nocebo effect is more than just misattribution. It causes real additional harm that scientists can measure in cruel experiments, and this is one of the reasons there's not an overabundance of research on nocebos. Approach your friendly neighborhood ethics board with an experiment designed to hurt people, and they'll frown on that. But sometimes nocebo
I can imagine why.
Get approved to the benefit of science and humanity, if not the participants. For example, under the right conditions, some people who expect a harmless injection will give them a rash will get a rash, but for people who expect nothing to happen, nothing is exactly what happens. And fake pills can be addictive. Take test subjects off pills they believe are addictive, and some will experience nocebic withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah,
like
the experience
pills
withdrawal.
they could never have been addicted to in the first place. Another experiment gave people harmless injections, told half of them to sit there, and told the other half their pain would increase for the next 30 minutes, which it did. But in this situation, there's a drug that can block the nocebo effect, and those who were told the injection would hurt, but were also secretly given a nocebo-blocking drug, did not report an increase in pain, showing that the nocebo effect is a real physical process. In all these nocebo experiments, it's the belief in harm that matters. If someone dressed as a voodoo...
When I took my COVID vaccine, this was a while ago. This was like 5 years ago now. When I first took my COVID vaccine, I started just feeling terrible. Immediately after I took it, I felt lightheaded and I had to lay down because I believed something would go wrong and I would feel some side effects. And so I did feel them. Because I was scared.
To which doctor popped up and hexed you with a curse of great pain, no effect. But in a room with a real doctor and his clipboard and a big science machine and a needle in your arm, you'll take his words rather more seriously.
Yeah, because it's
which
a real
is why
doctor.
doctors say this won't hurt a bit, rather than, oh this? It's going to hurt. Like, a lot. Which, by the way, was a real experiment done on women undergoing labor during spinal injections. Guess how that turned out. But nocebos don't end here. While illnesses like the flu spread from contact with disgusting germ-infected humans and the
I'll be honest, I would prefer my doctor to tell me exactly how bad it's gonna be, rather than tell me, oh, it's not gonna be that bad.
things they touch with their disgusting germy hands, a nocebo spreads from mind to mind, no contact required. A notable example happened in a Tennessee high school. One teacher reported a strange smell in her classroom and developed symptoms of headache, nausea, and difficulty breathing. These symptoms spread to some of her students and from them to others in the school. Almost 200 people ended up at the local hospital,
and there was
but
nothing
all medical
wrong.
tests came back with nothing, nor was anything harmful found at the school. This was a nocebo. The belief that the air was making them sick spread from mind to mind. Everyone who got sick heard about the symptoms from someone.
Oh, I actually have an example of this that happened to me just yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago. Downstairs in my kitchen, there's an alarm for like toxic gas or something. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I'm also not 100% sure if it actually works, but my grandpa got it because he believes in it, whatever. It started going off while I was making food, and since I knew what the alarm was for, I started thinking about that, and I started feeling a bit confused, loopy, I guess you could say. And that was mainly just because I believed that there was actually some sort of gas in there which could make me feel worse. But then I thought about it and I said, nah. And then it pretty much went away.
Else. When this happens, it's called mass psychogenic illness. The treatment in these cases is to separate those with symptoms from the rest and reassure the ill that yes, their symptoms are real, but no, they haven't been exposed to anything toxic, and yes, people are getting better quickly. This last is one of the indicators that separates a real poison gas leak or biological weapon from mass psychogenic illness. But the final factor, number of cases increasing with greater media coverage, can lead to this kind of thing spreading far and wide. Take electrosensitives, people who get nausea, among other things, from exposure to parts of the electromagnetic spectrum, notably Wi-Fi, the density of which is increasing over time, forcing particularly bad sufferers to retreat to places like the creepy-sounding radio silent zone in where else? West Virginia. But put electrosensitives in a room with a Wi-Fi router and they can't actually tell via their symptoms if it's on or off. Instead, their symptoms track with being told if it's on or off. And if you make a group of people without electrosensitivity watch a news report on how Wi-Fi makes you ill while another group watches something uninformative and afterward expose both groups to a fake Wi-Fi signal, only those who watch the news report feel sick. There's a similar phenomenon called wind farm disease with similar side effects, which turns up where it's been talked about on the local news, but not in other places in the same country with the same wind farms where it isn't. All this makes it too easy to mock people for thinking they're getting sick from Wi-Fi or wind farms with Wi-Fi, but it's important to realize they're not crazy. The side effects are real, they're just wrong about the source. All evidence points to the belief in electrosensitivity as the cause of electrosensitivity, which means the news reports talking about these illnesses are spreading a kind of mind virus. And while these are exotic examples, there's also evidence that some allergies and asthma cases are nocibic and thus able to be spread in the same way. To be clear, if someone's having an asthma attack, that's not the time to tell them you know they're being a drama llama because you watched an internet video about the nocebo effect. They're really having an asthma attack, and they really need something to make it stop, and that's really not you showing off your knowledge. Harmful things aren't just harmful because we believe they are. The right dose of arsenic will kill you just as surely as an anvil to the head, no matter your insistence otherwise. But the nocebo effect does show that our beliefs about otherwise harmless things can make them harmful, which means that our voodoo doctor's hex from before really could work, but only if you were foolish enough to believe him.
Yeah, I mean, I put forward some of my own examples of the nocebo effect, or at least something similar. Mine were mainly because of anxiety and because I was scared of getting some sort of bad disease or bad side effects. And then I basically really did feel them. The first time I took an anxiety pill, One of the side effects is that it can make you more anxious, you know, make your heart race, all of that. And when I took it, my heart started getting faster. So I started thinking that is true. And then I started feeling more stuff. So yeah, just, it's easy to be scared, especially when it comes to medicine. Also, I recently, well, not really recently anymore. It's been over a month now. I got sleeping pills, which also have a lot of side effects, which could happen. However, by the time I started taking those sleeping pills, I was already a couple months into my anxiety medication. And so when I actually took those sleeping pills, I didn't feel any side effects. Obviously, I read the paper and I read what it could cause, but I didn't feel afraid of them actually happening to me. So I'm guessing that was the anxiety medication working for me, because a few months earlier, without the anxiety meds, I would have been like, oh shit, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get that, I'm gonna feel all of these different side effects. But I felt nothing, probably because my anxiety is lowered thanks to the medication. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you want to see more reactions, check out this video right here. And with that, I hope I'll see you in the next video.